devotion for reading through the Bible in a year in the 1 Year Bible. And today, October 9th, we'll look at our Old Testament reading as we go through Jeremiah. We're going to look at Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 1 through chapter 14, verse 10. Here we see that Jeremiah trusts in the Lord's righteousness, but he can't help but ask why the way of the wicked is so prosperous as he faces the plots that are afoot. Jeremiah can't help but ask also how long the land will mourn on account of the evil of those who dwell in it. In other words, Jeremiah floats the idea that the Lord is being indifferent. Well, the Lord doesn't mince words. He asks, if you have raced with men on foot and they have wearied you, how will you compete with horses? The answer is unexpected, and that alone shows how much the Lord truly does care, yet it's really not that comforting at first glance. The reality of Jeremiah's situation is that if he thinks it's rough now, just wait. He's had to deal with prophets. They've given him a good run, so to speak, but soon horses are coming, and this no doubt points to the military might of Babylon. Local opposition from the people of Judah, which Jeremiah had begun to experience and which would get worse in the coming months, was modest in comparison with the opposition yet to be experienced from a foreign enemy. Jeremiah literally had no idea of the challenges yet to come. So, for Jeremiah, the luxury of complacency was not remotely a possibility. God was warning him to be on his guard and prepare. After all, these difficulties were all part of Jeremiah's calling. His place in all of this was to keep faith and courage in the midst of his present sufferings. There is hope. God will have compassion, God promises, but there is also a word of warning. If any nation will not listen to the Lord, he will utterly pluck it up and destroy it. Then, chapter 13 contains very pictorial prophecies. Jeremiah is told to buy a linen loincloth and put it around his waist, but not dip it in water. Then Jeremiah is told to take that loincloth and go to the Euphrates River and hide the loincloth in the cleft of a rock. Then, after many days, Jeremiah was told to dig up the loincloth, and of course the loincloth was ruined. The Lord told Jeremiah that this is how he would spoil the pride of Judah and the great pride of Jerusalem. They were supposed to cling to the Lord like the loincloth clung to Jeremiah, in order that they might be a people belonging to the Lord and live to the praise and glory of the Lord, but they would not listen to the Lord. They nullified the purpose that God had created them for. So woe is pronounced on Jerusalem, and the question is asked, how long until they are made clean? In chapter 14, we get another picture of the desolation coming on Jerusalem. It's compared to a doe forsaking her newborn fawn because there is no grass. So Jeremiah asks the Lord to act, even though the sins of the people cry out. Their backslidings are many. And though the people have turned also against Jeremiah, and though the Lord tells Jeremiah not to pray for the welfare of the people because of their sin, still the prophet finds a way to pray. He says in verse 9, "Yet you, O Lord, are in the midst of us, and we are called by your name. Do not leave us." So much could be said about that simple prayer, but I'm just going to let it stand on its own merits. Such a simple prayer is also fitting for Christians of every age and in every circumstance and situation. And the Lord is faithful. He remains with us even as we go through the valley of the shadow of death. After all, Jesus is Emmanuel, God with us. Not only is his presence with us, but he is also with us in the sense of renewing and maintaining his relationship with us in the daily cycle in all of our lives of confession of sin, repentance, and forgiveness for the sake of Christ's own life, death, and resurrection. May God be with you and bless you, and I'll look forward to talking